Have you ever like just blurted something out and like the second it left your mouth, you're like, oh no, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh yeah, all the time. It's like foot and mouth disease,
What?
right?
Totally. Or have you ever seen like those huge blow-ups on social media, like where some misunderstanding just turns into this massive like internet brawl?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every day there's a new one. It's crazy.
It really is. And it makes you think like maybe sometimes the best thing to do is just not say anything at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, silence can definitely be powerful.
So that's actually what we're diving into today. It's all about the power of silence.
Interesting.
Not just like being totally quiet all the time, but like being strategic about when you choose to hold back.
Yeah, I get you. Like picking your moments.
Exactly. And our guide for this deep dive is this list called 7 Places to Stay Silent at All Costs.
Sounds intriguing. 7 places, huh?
Yep. And we're going to unpack each one, figure out why these specific moments really call for a pause, and maybe we'll even uncover some aha moments that you can use in your own life.
Love it.
So I'm really excited to hear your take on this. What's your initial impression when you hear this concept of the power of silence?
Well, I think it's fascinating because so often we view silence as this passive thing, or even weak. Like if you don't speak up, you're not, standing up for yourself or whatever.
Right.
But when you really think about it, especially in a world that's just overflowing with noise and instant reactions, silence can be an incredibly potent tool. Like it really stands out.
It's true. It's true. Okay, so let's jump right in. The first point on this list is be silent if you don't know the full story. Seems kind of obvious, right? But I'm guessing there's more to it than just avoiding gossip.
Oh, absolutely. It goes way deeper than that. It's about recognizing the limits of our own knowledge and the potential harm that assumptions can cause.
Okay.
Think of it like a court case, right? You wouldn't want a jury to deliver a verdict without hearing all of the evidence, right? All sides of the story.
No, absolutely not.
Yet how often do we rush to judgment in our daily lives without all the facts? Especially online, a single tweet or post can spark this huge outrage without anyone even bothering to check if it's true or not.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen into that trap myself before.
Right.
Makes you think twice before hitting share or like adding fuel to the office rumor mill.
Right. It's so easy to get caught up in it.
Yeah. Which brings us to point number 2 on the list. This one says, be silent when you feel too emotional. And point number 3 is, be silent in the heat of anger. So aren't these basically saying the same thing?
They are related for sure, but there is a subtle distinction. I think while all strong emotions can definitely cloud our judgment, anger in particular triggers this physiological response in us, like that fight or flight.
Oh, yeah.
Hormones flood your system, rational thinking goes out the window, and suddenly you're saying things you would never say if you were calm.
It's almost like your brain's been hijacked.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember reading this story about a CEO who sent like a furious email in the heat of the moment and later realized that it cost him this huge, major deal.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever had any experiences like that where speaking in anger kind of backfired?
Well, I wouldn't say it was like a disaster or anything, but I remember one time I was in this really heated debate and I don't know, I just let this sarcastic remark fly. I thought it was, clever at the time.
Yeah.
But the other person took it really personally, and it took weeks to repair the damage. It was definitely a lesson learned the hard way.
Yeah.
That sometimes silence really is golden, especially when emotions are running high.
It's so true.
Okay,
moving on to point number 4, which says, be silent if your words can offend a person.
Okay.
And number 5, be silent if your words can destroy a friendship. Sensing a theme here. It's like walking a tightrope, trying to balance honesty with the potential to just really hurt somebody.
Exactly. And that's where empathy comes in, big time. Before you speak, really consider, how might this land on the other person? Given their background, their experiences, where they're at in that moment, sometimes even a well-intentioned comment can trigger past pain or reinforce a negative stereotype. And silence doesn't mean that you're condoning bad behavior.
Right.
It just allows space for reflection and choosing your words carefully if you do decide to speak at all.
I love that. It reminds me of that saying, think before you speak, because your words can plant the seed of either success or failure.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So true, though. All right. Point number 6 is be silent if you can't talk without yelling.
Oh, yeah.
I've definitely been on the receiving end of that kind of communication, and it never feels productive.
It rarely is. Yelling just shuts down dialogue completely. It's like trying to have a conversation with a smoke alarm blaring in the background. You can't hear anything over the noise, and everybody just gets stressed.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you find yourself constantly resorting to raised voices, it might be a sign that you need to maybe develop some better communication skills or even seek professional help for anger management.
That's really good advice. So we've gone through 6 of these points, and it's really making me think about how we often equate silence with weakness or being passive.
Yeah, it's a common misconception.
But this list is showing us the opposite. It can actually be a very deliberate, powerful choice.
It absolutely can be.
Which leads us to the final point, point number 7. Be silent if your silence can save bonds. It's like the flip side of the coin,
Yeah.
using silence not to avoid damage, but to actually strengthen relationships.
It is. Think of it as strategically choosing your battles. Not every disagreement needs to turn into this full-blown debate.
Right, right.
Sometimes just allowing space for those emotions to cool down can prevent a minor squabble from escalating into this major rift that could permanently damage a relationship.
It's so true. So after diving deep into these 7 places to stay silent, it's clear that silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a tool, it's a strategy. It's even a form of communication in and of itself.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it's a skill that anyone can cultivate. So here's a question I'll leave you with. In what area of your life might choosing silence more often lead to a more positive outcome?
Ooh, that's a really good question to ponder. We encourage all of you listening to reflect on that and see how these insights might apply to your own experiences. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the power of silence.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.